Hi there, friends. Tasha here, welcoming you to Persimmon Honey Hollow Sisterhood Annex to process sweet corn for the winter. Before we start, some supplies that you're going to need are quart-sized freezer bags, a large container for corn shucks. It can be a bag, a tote, a bucket, whatever works. In addition to the container for the shucks, you're going to need 2 more containers, one for the corn cobs after you've cut the corn off of it, and one for the corn itself. So 3 bowls total, I guess. A big pot to blanch the corn. We used a water bath canner. A large pot or a small tote for an ice bath. Ice for the ice bath. The kitchen tools that you'll want are some tongs for removing the hot ears of corn from the water, a knife or kernel cutter to remove the kernels from the cob, and to bag it up, you'll want a scoop or a ladle of some kind, and possibly also a wide mouth funnel. Another great tool, if you have it available, is a bunt pan, and I'll show you how we use that when we get to that part. As far as the math goes on calculating how much you're going to have and how much you're going to need, what we did, we didn't know how much we were going to need to start out. We also didn't know how much space it was going to take up. So we started with what we thought would get us reasonably down the road. And we started off by placing an order with a local Amish farmer for 3 bushels of corn. There are 5 dozen ears in a bushel. So that's 60 ears of corn. Usually you can get for about $3 a dozen. Is about how much corn runs around here. Some places do $3.25 or $3.50, but 3 seems to be about the going rate. So $15 gets you a bushel. And they generally don't offer volume discounts either. So that's something to keep in mind because they know they're going to sell all their corn because everybody wants it and people just swarm for it. But that gives you an idea going in how much it's going to cost you to do whatever it is. Now, when we got our 3 bushels, I think we got somewhere between 15 and 20 quarts. I'm not sure exactly. But I know we were close to a quarter of the way there. And so we just kind of ended up going, okay, now we know how much that gives us. And we just have to do this like 4 more times in order to get the amount of corn that we need put up for a reasonable estimate for the winter. And we ended up doing, I think, a total of 15 bushels, which is roughly 900 ears of corn. Yikes. It was a lot, and we did it over several days. We just go back and place another order for more corn because there is a season of it ripening. So there'll be some ripening and they'll have some, and then you go back a few days later, place another order, and it's ready for you then as well. There are a lot of people placing orders at the time, but you just have to look around for who can fill that need for you. So step number 1 is to get your blanching water on the stove, and you want to put it on high heat on your largest burner, assuming that your largest burner is what's necessary to heat up your largest pot. You're going to need a pot big enough to put several ears of corn in, and you just turn it on to high heat because it's going to take a long time to come to a boil. And then you commence to step 2, which is shucking the corn, which is just a matter of ripping the leaves off of every ear and trying to get as much of the silk off as well. It's at this point that you're going to see if there is any rotting or if there's been any pests eating the corn, anything like that. And those parts you want to cut off and then rinse off anything extra. There might have been a spot where like the silkworm was kind of chewing down one end, and so you just cut that piece off and then just give the ear of corn a rinse. Notice here that we're not breaking off the stems or cutting off ends that haven't filled out. We're going to keep them on so that we can use them later as handles when we're cutting corn from the cob. When there's a lot of corn to process, everyone gets assigned a station. One great thing about shucking being such a straightforward job is that it's a great place for the kids, especially the younger ones, to help out. This is my niece who has special needs, and she's having a great time because doing this, she has the opportunity to be able to participate in a significant family project and feel included in the grown-up work. Once the corn is shucked and rinsed, it's time for blanching. If you don't know what blanching is, it's a timed scald used in preserving to set the starches in your vegetables so that they don't turn to mush. The vegetables are plunged into boiling water or near boiling water for a certain amount of time, and then, once the time is up, we plunge the veggies into cold water to stop the cooking process. If we were preserving this corn on the cob, we would scald for 10 minutes. But because we're freezing this corn off the cob, we check the Ball Blue Book of Preservation, and our scald needs to be 5 to 6 minutes. Times do vary from vegetable to vegetable. For instance, I think when we froze broccoli and cauliflower, we blanched for 1 to 2 minutes. Oh look! Our ice is melting! We're going to need a bigger container for ice water. That's much better. Yes, that is a water bottle, but it's unopened. We were desperate for as much ice as we could get, and my sister freezes her water bottles before she uses them. So we put the icy water bottle in as well. It was worth at least half a tray of ice cubes. Now that we've cooled down the corn, we can cut it off the cob. Here's a food prep hack that actually works. Put a bundt pan in a large bowl and use the stalk end to prop your corn for the cutting. I'm using the Pampered Chef kernel cutter, but you can just use a knife. The curved blade on the kernel cutter gives you a little more coverage with each slice, and if you have your hand at the proper angle, it just slides through with one cut. I tend to tilt my hand partway down and cut into the cob just a little bit, and so then I have to re-angle it, but it's still pretty fast, and I like it. Once you have enough corn in your bundt pan, it's time to bag it up. We use quart freezer bags, preferably the ones that expand along the bottom. You want to fill it up enough that the bag is full but can be closed without straining the closures. If you overpack it, it's going to pop back open or the zipper's going to break while it's in the freezer, and then you'll have a mess to clean up. And when it's all said and done, then you have a freezer full of corn.